Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the final presenter for today. And then, as Addy said, we'll go to the Q&A. So I'm going to follow a similar format to everyone else, talk a little bit about my journey to Esri UK, what I did before that, and then how I've come to be in the position that I'm in. That's the product communication manager. So that's a role that I moved into last year. My career has taken me to some wild and interesting places and lots of different experiences. And one of those experiences you can see on the screen there, me dressed up as a 6-foot inflatable Godzilla in front of 2,000 people. But I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So my journey all began in '93. That's when I was born, and I was brought up in a place called Salford in Greater Manchester. Salford's famous for various things, one of the heartlands of the Industrial Revolution, and apparently it was the first place to have a public library in the UK, so that's one of our claims to fame. But I spent my early life there, and then when it came to university, I decided I wanted to venture further afield, so I travelled the 3-mile journey down the road to Manchester and studied at the University of Manchester from 2011 to 2014. Where I studied geography, BSc, similar to Liz, at the same university. And in the second year of the degree, I was introduced to GIS. It was a mandatory course that I had to do, but I just fell in love with this tool that you could start to answer questions and problem solve with, underpinned by geography, something I was really passionate about. So that's where I first discovered GIS, and moving into my third year with the dissertation, I focused my dissertation on GIS, looking at cycling accidents in Greater Manchester and understanding hotspots of activity and how we could change policy to mitigate and reduce the number of accidents across the city. And through doing that dissertation, it led me to understand more about ArcGIS, because that's the tool we use predominantly, and Esri as well. So after finishing university, I saw an opportunity working at Esri UK that required someone that was interested in design and creativity. And up until my degree, I'd studied graphic design and art, so that was definitely a big tick for me. Someone that was interested in geography and GIS. Well, as I just said, I was on a course doing geography and recently discovered GIS. And also someone that was interested in technology, and others had an interest in tech. So the role seemed perfect for me. I applied and was successful. So I moved quite out of my comfort zone, actually. Considering most of my time had been spent in the north of England, I moved to Aylesbury, a place I'd never heard of, to join the Esri family. And I honestly have never looked back. It's been one of the best decisions I ever made to move to Esri UK. I've since relocated back up north and become home based. But Esri has just for the last 7 years given me so many experiences and opportunities that has just kept me really motivated, really passionate, and wanting to develop more with the company. So I joined as a cartographer, and as I say, that fuses those kind of creative skills that I've always had a desire for with geography and GIS and technology. And I was brought into the business to help launch a new initiative, which was called Maps in the Media, which Richard and Gemma have touched on earlier in their presentations. And the purpose of Maps in the Media is all about creating inspiring and interesting looking maps that are topical and that Esri UK can pitch to the national press to secure coverage and essentially advertise and promote our brand. And on the screen now, you can see in the story map, here's a selection of 8 of the maps that have been created by some of our grads over the last 2 years. Because as I say, I was brought in to do this, and I spent the first 3 years of my career full-time working on this, which was just an amazing experience and really allowed me to just explore my understanding of GIS, ArcGIS, and also that kind of creative passion that I have. But it's since stayed on and developed into a kind of full-time position. We still have a cartographer today, Sam, who's at the helm, and it's a core part of the graduate rotation. So graduates get the opportunity to come in and spend 6 weeks building and designing these maps. And there's a couple of my favorites on the screen. In the top left, you can see one of our most recent maps, which is looking at flight paths across the world and actually what's visible from the aircraft when you're flying. So what could you potentially see out the aircraft window as you're at 37,500 feet. And then Gemma shared one of her maps there on the lower row, the yellow beach map, which is showing proximity to the beaches that we looked at over the summer as lots of people were staying in the UK for their holiday this year. So media maps, as I say, was my first thing that I did with Esri, but it's now a core part of our graduate rotation, and one of the most popular as well. So after 3 years as a cartographer, I moved into a slightly different role, which was moving into our technical research team. So I became the technical research lead, and then later the tech research manager. And this moved me away slightly from the cartography and design focus that I'd had for my early years, and moved me really to be hands-on with the core technology, the core system that we build to support our customers. And this was a great experience for me. I was well out of my comfort zone from the work I'd done previously, but it really allowed me to get, as I say, hands-on and understand how our customers are deploying, using, and benefiting from the Esri technology. And the Esri platform is vast. The hundreds of products and hundreds of capabilities that all tie together to form what we know as ArcGIS. And as Adi alluded to at the beginning of the session, years and years ago when I started, 7 or 8 years ago, it was ArcGIS Online and our online capability was at its infancy. It was a tool that you could share things to, but now it's become the heart of the GIS. It's become this tool for collaboration. It underpins everything that we do on a daily basis, and more of our capabilities are now making their way to the cloud and being available as software as a service. We call it SaaS. Which means the barrier to entry has just got lower and lower and lower. So when I joined, some of the more challenging things like AI and real-time GIS were really hard to do, and you had to stand up a lot of infrastructure and have quite a lot of technical knowledge to benefit from some of these workflows. Now, within a matter of minutes, you can deploy a real-time solution and start to leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning as well. So it's been amazing to watch the system develop over the last 7 years. And this is, as I say, something that this technical research role allowed me to get much closer to. And then moving on to my most recent role that I moved into last year is the product communication manager. So it's a new role that was created, and actually it's a combination of the technical skills that I picked up during my time in technical research, but also that kind of creative side that I had when I joined the business as a cartographer. And the product communications team, which I lead, it has a focus around internal technical communications and external. So we're responsible for making sure our business and our employees are kept up to date with the latest ArcGIS news and information, but also making sure our customers are too. And you can see on the screen here a number of the different ways that we do that. So from a box set, which is a series of videos that we release once a year, from our annual conferences, the Scottish conference that we did yesterday, to our blog. We've recently launched a podcast. We have many different channels that we use to communicate with our users and our customers in the UK, and we're responsible for creating that content that underpins them. So I've really found a role that brings both my interests together, the technology and positioning and messaging, but also with that kind of ability to be creative and work within a creative environment where each day we're trying new ways and coming up with new concepts and ways of engaging and working with our customers. So it's been really exciting, and it definitely gets me out of bed in the morning. And then just to kind of getting near the end now of my slot, but as all the other people have said today, Esri UK particularly is a great place to work. There's so many experiences and opportunities, both professionally, but also socially. And here's some of the the experiences I've had over the last 7 years. From that as I said at the beginning, presenting at our annual conference and dressing up for a live demo showing off our AR capabilities as Godzilla was definitely one of the highlights. But meeting colleagues around the globe, attending some of our international conferences and international workshops have definitely been career highlights. I've always found Esri to be a place that if you work hard and you help the business definitely will help and support you. And whereas some of the people on the call today and the webinar today have definitely had a career path and the structured progression, Chris was talking about professional services having that structured progression path. I definitely don't have that in my kind of career. I don't know what's next for me. I don't know what role will be next, but Esri UK is supportive of that kind of approach too. So if you're not sure, I've never been sure what role I want to do. Esri is a place that you can develop and grow with the business, providing you're willing to work hard and support the business at the same time. And that's really just where I wanted to finish. As I say, I don't have that kind of career path, and I'm sure it's quite daunting for many of you that are finishing your kind of studies, and you're not 100% sure what to do, but you want to work in the GIS space and maybe you're interested in Esri. Don't worry if you haven't got that kind of career path mapped out, because a lot of us don't, and we don't know what's going to happen next. But Esri is a great place to develop your skills and interests as well. So with that, I'm going to pass back to Addy.